Are we recording? Are we live? Sound check. Sound check. Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen and everything in between. Welcome back to GEEXX Plays. I've tried to record this a couple times. The first time the screen was just black and there was nothing, no images, so the second time it seemed to work okay. I'm in a test. But anyway, I just beat Mass Effect 2. I want to talk about it a little bit. Mass Effect 2 is the sequel to Mass Effect, the first game. It takes place 2 years after the end of the first game, so it's a direct continuation. You don't necessarily have the same crew on your ship, but you do wind up encountering a lot of the same characters in your first crew as NPCs. Sorry. The gameplay is very, very similar. You walk around, you talk to people, you get your weapon loadout screen there. You have all kinds of interest. You have the galaxy map. Come in here. You can go to different planets. You get the mass relays that you can use to plot a mass relay jump. Go to the galaxy points. Get a fuel depot for your fuel. One of the changes is that when you go to planets and scan them, initially when you scan them, I'm not sure, but I don't remember, but you start the scanner, and you can like drop probes to get resources, and your scan will jump if you look at oh, there we go, we got some stuff. We got stuff, launch a probe.
Away.
And you get resources. And you will eventually deplete the planet of resources, but that's how you get stuff for upgrading your gear and weapons. Upgrading gear and weapons is different to this game. That's something in the original game, you could add stuff to your gear, and now you just go to the research station and buy upgrades. And another thing I don't like is that for guns, like in the other game, you could see the differences. Like you have like a stat screen. Here it gives you some descriptions about how the rifle functions, but there doesn't really seem to be. You can't tell. You can't tell which one has a higher rate of fire without actually using it. You can't tell which one does more damage. You know, there's no way to tell. So it makes it hard for me to choose which weapon I want until I actually use it and see how it performs. Which I guess is more true to real life, but this is a game. And there doesn't seem to be as many weapons, but maybe I just didn't find them all. You found weapons in missions, and sometimes you had to buy them from shops. Oh, cool. The weapons I've discovered are on the table. I never noticed that before. I've been playing this game for 30 hours. I never noticed that this was my loadout stuff. Huh. Cool. Learn something new every day. There's Jacob. Hi, Jacob. He's part of my squad. Jacob's there. Morden's over here. I'm not going to show you my whole crew. But like I said, the gameplay's pretty similar. You go down to missions. It's got over-the-shoulder combat, stuff. It's all very similar to Mass Effect 1. But you recruit a different team. The story is slightly different. It still winds up being about the Reavers, eventually. But starts off with the collectors, stealing, eliminating human colonies, stuff like that. Got to find out what they're doing, what they're up to. Playing with my mouse. So I'm not going to go on the planet and show you stuff because I don't know where there's a planet I can land on. So I think the gameplay is a bit more on the rails in this one. I don't feel as free to explore in this game as I did in Mass Effect 1. They said when I was looking at other reviews and stuff, the developers they said they wanted to streamline things a bit. And I think they did in some ways. And in some ways are good, some ways not. I don't appreciate it as much. Like I said, there's not as much information on the weapons loadout, so I have a harder time figuring out what to use. They streamlined this a little bit. You know, your ability screen when you level up. I think my max level. Doesn't say what. Yeah, level 30 is my maximum level. Huh. I didn't even realize that. So, squad, look, I've got 3 squad points. I could actually advise this. If I'm at maximum level, look, now I have 1 point. 2 ranks of cryo ammo. Da-da-da-da. Done. So if you play Mass Effect 1, it plays very similar. I've said that like 6 times already. I was, my review for Mass Effect 1, I didn't really care for it all that much. I mean, I didn't say I hated it, but for me it was dated. It was clunky. It needed some, I think, quality of life improvements, but I'm sure for its time it was great. This game, still a bit clunky, like when I run, you push the button to run, and then, look at the way he runs. He runs like a dork. And then you run out of stamina. In the first game there was a stamina bar, so I could tell when my stamina was recharged so I could run again. There's no stamina bar now. I have no idea when my stamina is depleted, or when I can run. I just have to guess. So that's a bit clunky. I found combat to be kind of repetitive, in that I would duck behind cover, duck my head out to shoot, and then back behind cover so my shields would recharge so I wouldn't die. So my combat was basically just, running here, basically just finding a place to get myself into cover and then shooting from cover. That was the entire game. Which, I guess if I was in real combat, that is precisely what I would do. But it did get repetitive. I wound up using the same weapons all the time. There wasn't much need to switch. I also found switching to be a little clunky, but maybe that's because I never figured out a way to do it quickly. Maybe there was a way to quickly switch weapons, and I just never figured it out. You can do it through cycling your mouse bar, or mouse wheel. But I just never got the hang of it, and when I wanted to go from using a long range weapon to a close range weapon, it was just clunky, and I couldn't not take the weapons. I couldn't say no. I only want to bring these 2 weapons for combat. Nope, I was stuck with those. So I thought combat was a bit clunky, but I did enjoy this game more, and a lot of that was because of the story. I think the story in this was better written. The graphics were still a bit clunky. One of my complaints in the first film was that people's faces didn't always work right in the graphics, and the same thing happened here. You get people making these bizarre expressions while they were talking in the cutscenes, and it was just really, really awkward to watch. But having said that, the story was good, and unlike the first game, I actually cared about these people. Not just like the teammates, and I liked a lot of them. Like in the first game, it was pretty easy for me to pick who I wanted to take on missions. You can only take 2 people. I picked the same 2 every single time because they are my favorites. I didn't have that with this. I couldn't pick. I had a hard time. I didn't stick with the same 2 characters. It's like, oh, I like these 2 people. No, I'm going to take these 2 next time. I just kept switching back and forth between the other characters because I liked them all. And I even cared about the crew here. If something happened with as they're not doing it now, but walking on the ship, they would have their own conversations. They had their own lives. On the ship, at least, I felt immersed in the game. Even if you were on the space station and stuff, people would talk as you went by them. So that at least I think helped the immersion. So overall, I did like this game more than the first one. I think because of its age, I wouldn't give it an A+. I'm sure for its day, again, like Mass Effect 1, I'm sure for its day this was, people went crazy over it. I did not do any of the romances in this game. I didn't care about them in the first game, and the same thing happened here. That there was maybe one character I might have considered romancing, but I just wasn't going to go for it. And when the option was first given in games, it was novel, it was new, and so I did it every single time. But I think I've just gotten, it's not new to me anymore, and so I don't feel a need. If I don't feel any kind of connection with a person, if I don't So I don't think the romances were badly done. Just that, you know, like with the other games I've mentioned, like Baldur's Gate, you know, the romances didn't interest me here. Doesn't mean they were bad, just that I'm kind of over the mechanic. It doesn't really do much for me anymore. I'm not going to get involved in it unless it's something that I really, really find intriguing. Like I did in Cyberpunk. That romance, you know, got me interested. Definitely into that one. So overall, definitely a good game. I would recommend, even for its age and its clunky aspects. And I'm just hoping that this actually recorded. As always, thanks for watching. I realize that if you like this video, I don't know why you would do that, because this is very sparse and doesn't have a lot of information, and I didn't show you much of anything. But until next time, good hunting.